Good evening. Tonight we present the second in the series of our programs leading up to the World Cup finals in the USA. We'll be looking at one of the European contenders, Sweden. The success the Argentinians had after their abysmal final in Italy against Germany. We'll also be looking at the Saudi team, which is in the same group as Belgium and Holland. And we'll feature this week's portrait of a past World Cup star. This time, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. The scene, Italy. The aftermath of the final between Argentina and the new champions, Germany. And a little man giving the indication that perhaps this was his most humiliating moment, Maradona. Argentina, of course, had been very successful since then. They went to play in the Intercontinental Cup, and against the Ivory Coast, they cut loose. First goals by Batistuta, a couple by him, swashbuckling player, reminiscent of the great Luque of former eras. A goal by Ricardo Altamirano, making it 3. And then with his piercing run, so typical of Argentinian breakaways, a goal by Alberto Acosta. Then into the final of the tournament against the host, Saudi Arabia, the Asian champions. And the man Rodriguez, who was to leave Argentina and go around different clubs. The man bought by Olympique Marseille as their newest star, but never did play for the French champions. Went on to play for Toulon and Atalanta, and now with Borussia Dortmund. Very much akin to the kind of player Batistuta. And then, of course, you have Claudio Caniggia, the man suspended for drug offences, but who will be back for the World Cup. That made it 2-0 in the game. Even from a suspiciously offside position, Caniggia putting that away cleanly. But the Argentinians had made their mark and style and system very clear indeed. Strong defense, hard workers in midfield, and flourishing breakaways. Players like Batistuta, Costa, Simeone, Caniggia, all able to burst very quickly from midfield. And Batistuta hitting the post, and then the ball hammered in. They had become the Intercontinental champions. All of their goals scored with flair and panache. And so to the presentation of the trophy itself. King Fahd and the Argentinian players. The presentation there with, of course, Oscar Ruggeri, the captain.
ويسلم رئيس وفدها كأس الملك فهد لبطولة القارات. تهانينا لمنتخب الأرجنتين.
This was to be the beginning of a record-breaking run by Argentina. All the disappointment of that dreadful game in Rome in the final against Germany had been put behind them.
Congratulations for the Argentine team. أعضاء المنتخب الأرجنتيني.
It is perhaps not the hardest tournament they had ever played in. But this was to be a different proposition altogether. The Frankie Cup. The South American champions against the European champions. And back he came, Diego Maradona. Still not perhaps that compact player. But Argentina starting off with a remarkable own goal. A Henrik Larsson free kick. And there was Cravioto crashing the ball behind his own goalkeeper. A dreadful blunder, awful start. And could Argentina get back into the game? especially against a brilliant goalkeeper, Schmeichel. Batistuta thwarted. Denmark, of course, and their players coming from hard European games. And the ball just swept across there. Kanigia getting the equalizer. This was to be a test not just of skill, but of endurance as well. Denmark giving a very good account of themselves, and they, at that stage, were still trying desperately hard to find some consistent form to get them to the World Cup finals. But Schmeichel in goal, defying everything the Argentinians were throwing at them. Denmark themselves in the occasional breakaway in a very exciting game, which went to a penalty shootout. Kanigia had missed the first one, and then Henrik Larsson for Denmark the next. Goikachia not surprisingly saving, but there, the goal that went in, that won them the Artemio Franchi Cup. Saldana and Maradona was back with a vengeance.
Continues to hog the headlines. He virtually picked himself to play against Morocco, made the first goal for Balbo after 13 minutes, and makes it harder and harder for him to be left out of the World Cup squad. This was against Morocco in Salta, northeast Argentina, when the Moroccans showed that all is not well with the Argentine defence. But given time and space, Maradona's fitness wasn't put to the test. And when Perez was brought down in the 55th minute, there was only one penalty taker. Maradona put it away with the style of old. The player without a club gets his 33rd goal at international level. He'd been substituted by the time Argentina scored their third, through Perez 9 minutes from the end. But the scoreline was hardly the main talking point.
The World Cup starting next month in America. Qualifiers Sweden taking on European champions Denmark in Copenhagen today. This will do little to boost the Swedes' confidence going in. Sweden on the attack here. Thomas Brolin passes to Martin Dahlin. Had a terrible time of it in front of the net. After the Swedes can't clear in the 53rd minute, though, Denmark goes on the attack. Michael Laudrup makes it 1-0. With the rebound goal, very easily done, and they turned that over to Peter Schmeichel in nets, and he did the rest. Two late chances for Sweden, but Schmeichel is right there both times to gain a major consolation for their failure to reach the finals. The host country facing Saudi Arabia, meantime. Last night in New Jersey, the United States welcomed back Roy Wegerle from knee surgery, Tab Ramos from Spain as the countdown continues. Looked good for the Saudis early on, but Hamza Saeed Falara had the header. It was disallowed. He was offsides in the 20th minute. So it stays 0-0. Same for the Americans through Hugo Perez. But Mohamed Al-Daye comes up with the save there. Defensive lapses that plagued the United States continued here. Tony Meola comes off his line to stop Al-Jabbar. The head of the U.S. Soccer Federation was quoted today as saying their defense reminded him of Switzerland, cheesy and full of holes, near misses all night. Thomas Dooley with the wide header, Ernie Stewart off the post. Ahmad Jalil Madani, same thing. The save. Meola with the deflection at close range. The two finalists finish in a 0-0 draw that can bode well for neither nation. Meanwhile, not good news for Argentina. In Guayaquil, Ecuador last night for a friendly with unrated Ecuador. They went scoreless to the 82nd minute when central defender Byron Tenorio headed the winner. The hosts missing their top two players, playing for the first time under a new head coach. Argentina, Claudio Caniggia, making his return after a suspension.
Osvaldo Ardiles has moved a long way since winning the World Cup with Argentina in 1978. From Argentina to England, player to manager, the studious coach of English side Tottenham Hotspur has seen all sides of the game. Argentina aim for their third victory in the last 5 attempts in the USA. They've been the most successful World Cup team since their win in 1978, when Ardiles and Kempes provided the inspiration.
And Ardiles they turn to, who made it.
We asked Ardiles how important 78 was in establishing Argentina as a significant force on the world stage.
Well, 78 obviously was a very important and very beautiful year for us. To win the World Cup in our own territory was something very, very special.
Ardiles skipping away from the tackles. Oh, this for Kempes! Gotta be! Yes! Wouldn't it be?
The key was tremendous confidence in ourselves. The role that Cesar Menotti, our manager, played was extremely important because all the confidence came from him, to be perfectly honest. He convinced us that we were the best in the world. He convinced us that we could play, that we could match physically the team from Europe, for example, the Germans and Italy and so on. So he convinced us that we were as good team as they were, and in fact we were a little bit better. So full credit to him.
And how important was that fanatical home support?
Argentina is a very fanatic country in terms of football. Of course, the supporters play a major role in our achievement, no doubt about that. The public, in principle, is your number 12 player. But if things don't go as you would like things to go, it could be your worst enemy as well.
They also had plenty of support in Spain in 1982, but were they as confident as they had been on home territory?
In fact, we were overconfident. We had no doubt as well that we have better play in 1982 than 1978. Basically because the base of the team was the 1978 World Cup winner team. But apart from that, we have Maradona, we have Ramon Diaz, we have Valdano, super players. So, and all the players that played in '78 as well, they were even more experienced, more mature. So we have a much better players, really. But somehow everything started to go wrong there. The preparation wasn't as good as we would like to. Somehow we were much more involved in things not really connected with football. That is very sad to say, really. A lot of us were more interested in saying commercial activities because obviously we were the world champion. It was a lot of things coming our way, and we can command quite a lot of money, say, for anything we did. And unfortunately, a lot of that took precedence before what we should be concentrated on, that is actually playing.
They lacked concentration against world champions Italy and again in the match which put them out of the World Cup against Brazil. It was a huge disappointment for Ardiles, especially since he still had so much respect for manager Cesar Luis Menotti.
Yes, because especially in the way that Menotti was all the time trying to play his football, always insisting that we are not going to have players sent off, that we are not going to have a dirty team, that we are not going to feign injuries, that somehow Argentina team has done that over the past. So Menotti was against all these things. So it was very sad to see us losing our composure. And at the end of the day, we lost against Brazil 3-1. They beat us quite comfortable, really. It was a war, not a proper game. And to make it even more sadder, the best player in the world at the time, that was Diego Maradona, was sent off as well. So it was a very sad end, no doubt.
Maradona, showing the darker side of his nature, deservedly sent off. He's indicated that he would like to play in the USA, but would he be a liability or an inspiration?
This is a very good question. It could work both ways. Very difficult to say right now. Argentina national team right now don't depend on Diego like it used to, say, in 1986. For example, the other day they went to play in Miami against Germany, and they beat Germany, and they played extremely well.
Argentina attacking players who are not here, we must remark on those. Right side, long distance shot, they score! Diaz scores!
So there are some other players in Argentina right now, very good indeed. If Diego is fine, if Diego has his mind right and everything is fine, there's no doubt that he's going to be a big inspiration for us. If he's not, it could be a big source of problems and disappointment, and so he could be a negative force, no doubt.
Looking towards the USA, who does Ardiles think will be the Argentine players to watch?
Well, the player that Argentina will rely in at front will be, you probably know them, Batistuta, that is playing in Italy.
Gabriel Batistuta is only 25 and plays for Fiorentina in Italy. He's Argentina's leading scorer.
Balboa, that is playing in Italy.
Abel Balbo will be 28 for the finals and plays for Roma. He's a forward with considerable talent, scoring here against world champions Germany.
He's a very big hopes in Argentina that Canilla is going to be okay after his suspension. He will be, again, he's right, he will be a very, very important force for Argentina.
And the space for Canilla here, he's round the goalkeeper and he scored sensationally.
In midfield, we have people like Simeone that is playing in Spain, people like Redondo that is playing in Spain. Good midfield player, very good with the ball. They have been playing in Europe, so they know what it's all about. Defensively, Argentina is always pretty strong anyway, so it's going to be a very good team.
And what about keeper Sergio Goycochea? His saves got them to the final in 1990.
The best thing about Goycochea is that it's probably the best I have seen from the penalty kick. He's superb in that kind of situation, so this is a big, big asset.
Donadoni. Goycochea saved it.
Finalists in 1990, Argentina were incredibly close to elimination from the 1994 tournament and can thank this lucky Batistuta goal against Australia for their World Cup qualification. But now they're there, there's renewed confidence under coach Alfio Basile that they can continue their recent World Cup success.
It was a one-off against Australia, and for that particular game he asked Maradona to come back, and Maradona was not as influential as he was before, but it was quite important. And Argentina qualified, so it was a big, big sign of relief in Argentina. So because at the end of the day it doesn't really matter how, but the main point is to be there, to be in the World Cup. Argentina is in the World Cup, and because it's in the World Cup, I believe it's going to be one of the favorites. Maybe not the number one favorite. For that position, I include from South America, I will have to say Brazil. But no doubt that for tradition, for history, and for players, Argentina is going to be there very, very close, and it's going to be an extremely difficult team to beat.
Glorious player, a relic of perhaps the old days of midfield, studied, elegant, rather slower-paced football. Still a genius on the ball, and the leader of this great Colombian team. They played against Argentina 4 times in 7 weeks, and that great save by Goycochea from Rincon, giving an idea of the competitive nature when these two teams meet. Valderrama himself, glorious marshaller of passes, and in this particular instance a hard break for a very unlucky Colombian side in this game, ruled offside when Colombia were playing Argentina at that stage right into the ground in the Copa America. The Copa America coming so close in the penalty shootout to the World Cup qualifying, and Goycochea, as he had in Italy and as he had against Brazil in a previous round of the Copa America, doing it again with that instinctive way of his. And this would be the penalty that would put Argentina through in the Copa America, and they got it. All against the run of play. They celebrated in all kinds of ways. Would that give them confidence for the World Cup encounters? They had to play Colombia in that. Colombia would be without Higuita, their goalkeeper, put in jail because of association with drug leaders. And now the game in Barranquilla. Goal by Ivan Valenciano. Colombia really turning on the style now. The pass from Valderrama, the goal by Valencia. And one pulled back by Benito Bello. Another's marvelous and memorable game in the River Plate Stadium. Colombia needed to win, and in fact they went for devastation. The first of 5 goals. Faustino Asprilla was to have a glorious night, scoring that first one there and then coming through in that long leg style of his and finishing with great aplomb. Argentina shattered. After drawing in Australia 1 each, back to Buenos Aires. requiring a win. And they were to make a very difficult job of it. Firstly, missing chances. And then the Australians, well versed by their Scottish coach in the art of defending and attacking on the counter, proving a very difficult proposition indeed. But that is a kind of defensive work that was holding the Australian line well. At this stage, with great goalkeeping, people were beginning to wonder if, in fact, whether Aurelio Wiedmann could make saves like that, if they would survive. But the World Cup history is littered with freakish moments, and one we were about to see. It didn't look as if they would score, but Batistuta gets a deflection. Tobin had put his leg in, and agonizing, the ball goes in for the winner. Maradona had been back in the side, deciding to play in the World Cup again. But more than Maradona, a piece of good luck got them there. And Maradona himself had decided that he was going all the way. And he has decided not to kiss tomorrow goodbye.
Against Israel, Diego Maradona was in the side, and though he appeared subdued, he set up the first goal. A neat flick with the inside of his boot. Some deft footwork. The keeper failed to hold the first shot to give Batistuta another chance, and he made the most of it. Batistuta got his second goal after an Israeli blunder. He picked up a pass from Shamot and powered the ball past substitute keeper Cohen. Cohen had his moments, however. He produced one fine save. But 4 minutes later, Tunisia got on the score sheet, making the most of another hole in the Israeli defense. 3-0 the final score. Maradona, who faded later in the match, was substituted in the 84th minute to a rousing ovation from the 38,000-strong crowd.